What's the difference between knowledge and wisdom? Secondary to that is, do our schools help build knowledge or wisdom? Maybe it would help us if we looked at what wisdom and knowledge are. Wisdom is the application of knowledge, and knowledge is knowing what to say and when to say it. You could say that wisdom is knowing that a tomato is a fruit, and knowledge is not using it in a fruit salad. I remember when I was little, a long time ago in many galaxies far away, I used to hate math. And I went home one day and I was all upset because my teacher in school told my dad that I didn't like math. And it was the fractions that had me all messed up. I couldn't get it. My dad and grandfather were carpenters, so what do you think I got to do for a lot of the summer and a lot of the other time? I got to measure 5.5 inches, 5 3/4 inches, 5 5/8 inches. And if I was wrong, I got picked on right away. I mean, they would not make a cut that they didn't double check. And therefore, I think that really helped me with my fractions because I saw the connect between the knowledge I was learning in school and using it in the real world. Therefore, I think, at least when I was growing up, it seemed like my parents were real intent on my education. Couldn't be because my brother that was 10 years older than me was a valedictorian of the high school. No, that couldn't be it. They just seemed real concerned about it. And they made it apply. I think a lot of what children get in school or students get in school, there's adult learners too, is information, information, information. Another example. I studied anatomy and physiology 1 and 2. I took nursing physiology. I studied all this stuff in the classroom on nursing. And then come my first time to start an IV, where the rubber meets the road. There's a real person there. So I'm taking my knowledge, and by practicing my knowledge, I'm building my wisdom. I have a little thing that I put together, and it may or may not be right, but it kind of rings true to me. And that is, knowledge is knowing and wisdom is doing. And I think a lot of times we know things, but we don't do them. I'll give you another example. When I was growing up, there was a show called Sea Hunt with Lloyd Bridges. Maybe some of you remember that. With the striking music at the beginning. That got me interested in scuba diving. And I studied everything I could about it. We had a camp on the Ohio River off of an island called Brown's Island. And that's when I practiced skin diving. Now, skin diving is just using a mask and fins and snorkel. Scuba diving is using the tank. Well, it's great learning in invisibility about that big. So it really doesn't help much, but it got me used to confined spaces. And I kept studying and studying. Then I ended up in Cannes, France in 1966, going out on a dive boat, having never been in a scuba outfit ever. And our first dive was over 80 feet. And in those days, we didn't have air gauges like oxygen gauges like we have now. You had to kind of guess how much air you had left. Therefore, all the knowledge that I accumulated in my head started to become wisdom. And from that point on, the wisdom grew. I couldn't have done it a worse way. I can't imagine. But that's the way it is with a lot of the knowledge that we get we just don't know the best way to use it. There was a study done, as is there's always a study done, and they found that there are five key things to consider when it comes to wisdom. And I'm just going to name them, and then I'm going to cover one of them. One of them is consider others, manage yourself, seek diversity, and take a long-term view. But the one that really struck home with me was embrace uncertainty. Another element of wisdom is the ability to deal effectively with ambiguity. As humans, we crave clarity and certainty. So the maturity of wisdom allows us to work through this natural inclination and find ways to make adjustments. To me, that's saying sooner or later, you got to take this knowledge and jump into the water. Which got me thinking about the school and the knowledge and the doing, the knowing and the doing. And because we're in a Toastmasters meeting, I thought, really, if you're a Toastmaster, and if you've been a Toastmaster for at least 6 months, you should have the basic knowledge on how to make a speech. My question to you is, when will you start delivering your wisdom to the rest of us? And I'm Toastmaster.